This leads us to an issue where Daryl Bosu is the Deputy National Director of Arocha, Ghana. Daryl has been with us listening to all the heartbreaking, some of the comments made in the matter of defense as well that's put up. Daryl, thank you for joining us. Finally, the instrument revoking LI 2462, which was enacted in 2022 to ensure environmental management principles, and in fact allowing mining companies to mine in forest reserve, effectively will be revoked with this act that the acting Minister of Environment, Emmanuel Makofibua, has done. You want to make a presentation on why the LI must be revoked. And, well, he's gone ahead to do this. So what exactly are you asking of him? How much of a difference would that make in the fight against Galamsey? And we've conceded that all the minutes are to you on this.
No, so yes, because we're working together in the fight against Galamsey. I think you allow me to make some preliminary comments about that.
In 1 minute.
Oh, you are the host.
Yes.
And then the lies again is this. No, so Alfred, a good move. I think that in our advocacy that more must be done in the fight against Galamsey, we said that the law itself that allow people to go into our forests to mine it down must be repealed. And I am happy that a motion has been tabled before Parliament for the repeal of that law. Now, those who are talking that the government is not doing anything about the fight against Galamsey, those who made the law to encourage people to go into the forest to mine it down, they are the ones who are saying the government isn't doing anything in the fight against Galamsey. Now, the law that you made to allow people to get into the forest to destroy it, it is being repealed by this government. And I think that it's a good move. The fight against illegal mining is a fight that must bring all of us together to support the government to ensure that we win, because without it, it's an existential threat. So, well, congratulations to the government, and I'm happy that this hasn't been one of the things that people talk about and they never implement. We would all police it and ensure that it goes through the motions to ensure that no one gets into the forest to mine it down.
Okay. Daryl,
yes. Thank you very much, Prof, and also Alfred for this opportunity, and also to the esteemed guests. I think this instrument in Parliament right now is very, very important and very commendable. I must say that we are very excited that the government is really living up to its commitment to repeal this LI. But I think just to remove any doubts, I mean, yesterday I was engaging with certain media channels, and they were even still not sure what really is the significance for this LI being revoked. And I might say that I want every Ghanaian to know that our forest reserves, as they were set up, they were not set up for them to be future mining concessions.
Right.
No. They were set up for the purposes of guaranteeing the provision of essential services for people in Ghana here. So for anybody to think that, wait, some Newmont or other companies are mining, so Ghanaian companies also have opportunity to mine our forest reserves in the future, that is not the reason why our forest reserves were set up. Now, the reason why I want to take us through this quickly is the fact that, look, before the LI 2462 was passed in November 22, this was the status. There was a guideline, and it has actually been a policy of the Forestry Commission of the country to actually exclude mining in all forms from our forest reserve. But somewhere in the mid-80s, there was a process that also saw some 30 mining companies being allowed to do some prospecting. And that led to a decision that, look, we can't allow all of these people to go and mine in our forest reserve. So they came up with a guideline, and with that guideline, still set up a limit of about 2% of the total area of Ghana's production forest reserve, which constituted about 79%.
2%.
2%. So if you really look at the status we were before the LI came into being, it meant that only about 25,000 hectares of our forest reserves were going to be exposed to the risks of mining, just 2%. Now, LI 2462 comes online, and that is what we consider as one of government's own form of doing Galamsey. because when that LI came online, it meant that not only 2%, but 89% of our forest reserves were going to be exposed to mining, because
89%.
that 89%, that LI alone was targeting production forests and even protected forest reserves, compared to the previous guideline, which was only targeting 2% of production forest reserve. So this was what LI 2462 sought to do in 2022, exposing 89% of our forest reserves to mining risks. And then we called for a repeal. Government came 2025. Actually, the previous government tried it. There was an instrument, we all saw it, but it never went to Parliament. This government came, they also said they were going to repeal it. Somehow, they decided to amend. But I want people to understand the implication of that amendment. It only meant that 79%, it only meant that we're going to expose 79% of our forest reserves to mining. So only 10%. Between LI 2462 before the amendment, only 10% difference. And that's why we said that we needed to come back to the status quo where we had just 2% of our mining forest reserve exposed to mining. And that is why we are very excited that the government has taken steps not only to listen to the people, the voice of the people, but also to guarantee the protection of our forest reserves. But I must say that, look, this is only the battle half won. This is not going to solve the problem of Galamsey. The government has also indicated that they are going to take steps to completely exclude mining from our forest reserve through the review of the Minerals and Mining Act 703. So we are really looking forward to that. But let's also not forget that even when the laws are in place, as a country, we need to stay vigilant and make sure that law enforcement, compliance mechanisms, and all of these things are in place. And I think that this is, for me, very, very crucial. And we must really come. And we are looking forward to the 21 days to elapse. And then we can all really be very happy about this progress that has been made. But Alfred, I want to step away from this, but I know we'll have the opportunity to comment on it. There is something right now happening in Atronsu. Seshwi Atronsu, between Awaso and Seshwi Bibieni. That community is struggling as we speak to keep away miners. Miners who have come to the community with excavators, connected, people who have identified themselves to be connected to the NDC. One particular person called Joe K, who has actually threatened the youth of the area that he is going to mine at whatever cost. We are calling on the municipal assembly, we are calling on the municipal police commander and NIMOS and every concern, even the regional minister, to really intervene. So this is what I'm just talking about. We have put in place these measures, but it does not solve the problem of the marauding incidents of Galamsey all over the country. So it is only the battle have won, and we need to do more to support communities that are close to forest reserves, that are also trying to protect their community lands.
Now, yesterday, NIMOS got some resource backing and support. Some number of pickups and others. They've been asking for resources. When you met the president, I mean, I'm talking about the CSOs, he put an amount of money, a figure. The minister was asked a question, how much they would need in this fight against Galamsey. So you need resource to be able to fight the menace.
Yes.
And that's where the challenge is, because we can't have a lot of the resource. So without it, then what?
Well, Alfred, I think you talk about a very important point, and that's why we have always told ourselves that, look, when we sat down for this Galamsey to get out of hand, eventually it is the state that's going to take the bill. You and I are going to be charged, we're going to be compelled to pay some taxes, to find some resources, to resource the very institutions that should have done their work in the first place. And that is why NIMOS has been set up. They have an excellent strategy in place, but they don't have sufficient resources and logistics to deploy. So they are really there. We all know NIMOS is there, but they are struggling. It is good to hear that they've been given some pickups and some, but that is not, they need nothing less than 30 million Ghana cedis just to deploy to the 21 locations that they've talked about. If you have listened to the Honorable Minister for Lands in the past, he says that, look, we will need about $10 billion to really fight Galamsey. So really, if you look at what we claim we are getting from the whole gold value chain, and you ask yourself about the trade-offs, then the question is it really worth it? Because at the end of the day, we must fix the rivers for us to have wholesome water to drink. So is it worth it? And that is why we don't see why a government thinks that I can take the gold and not be bothered about what happens to the rivers and to the forest. These are very critical issues that we cannot discuss without really looking at the cost-benefit analysis of the whole value chain that we are so very much interested in prioritizing over everything else.
Isaac, that's a quick one on this. And Daryl, you can take a seat now. Yes, as a quick one on this while we round up.
So, I mean, this is very exciting to hear, to read that, you know, the ally to revoke mining in our forest is eventually, you know, coming on board. Hopefully, we see it out. It's an important step. As Daryl comments, is not the end of it. We need to keep fighting, you know, and actually ensure that, I mean, the guys who have been mining in the forest, most of them are not doing it under any law. Yeah. It's still illegal. So whether you have the law or not, you still need to put in measures to, you know, as it were, protect the forest. There's an important conversation about the cost benefit of mining, you know, and especially mining in our forest. The Atiwa forest, for example, very rich in bauxite. There's been conversations about trying to, you know, exploit the bauxite in that forest. But that forest has been, you know, I think as far back as 1997, has been listed as one of the 38 most important places on Earth, you know, just because of the biodiversity, species, and stuff like that, you know. And if you look at our track record, mining around, you know, what we've done to our rivers and all of that, I don't see how we will be able to, you know, extract that bauxite and not totally destroy those biodiversity, which is very essential. It is the head pond for about 3 major rivers that we have in the country, you know, providing livelihood to millions of Ghanaians, you know, and we just want to go in there, take the bauxite out. The issues that we face, even with gold, you know, there's many Ghanaians who have actually never seen, you know, gold before. You know, but we all face all the challenges with, you know, what do we call it? The devastation gold is wrecking on our environment. So as a people, as a country, we need to get our priorities right. We need to think a bit beyond the immediate and the short-term gains that we will get from this mineral exploration. Let's think about how we can, if we really need to commercialize all of these forest reserves, we can think around things like eco parks and stuff like that that maintains, you know, the integrity of this forest and natural reserves, you know, and still give us some sort of resources. I'm sure Ghanaians will be keen to go to Etiwa, walk out with some canopy walks and, you know, see all these different species and things that ordinarily you won't find anywhere else, you know, instead of just really going after gold, going after minerals and destroying everything. Thank you.
Law faculty. Also to you, thank you so much, Daryl Bosu. And Daryl is going to be continuously engaging. I know that the stakeholders are coming together beyond this. They're asking more questions. So we're having them in this. Professor Ransford Jampo, to you, thank you as well. Daniel Yaodemelovo, Dr. Zato, and then also Martin Pebo. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on The Key Point. I am Alfred Okanse. Do have a great weekend. Up next is warm-up.